was chosen. It takes a certain type of person, not perfect, but a certain type of person.
We work to implement community safety and transform justice to ensure freedom from violence.
People deserve to change their lives. It's a matter of transformation.
We out there saving lives and changing people's direction, man, it's great. Hey, my name is Andre Vickers. I'm the supervisor for Chapter 2. I supervise over all the intervention workers, safe passage, and also ambassadors. The reason why I do this work is because I'm out here trying to save some lives. I used to be a part of the problem, to be a part of the gang. I did a lot of stuff in my life, and I just want to change, right? Started going to the penitentiary, right? After I done had my kids, I was out all my kids' life. My brother called me up one day on one of my bids and told me about the intervention work and what it was about. So I got out, man, and just wanted to be a part of that change. Wanted to see my kids grow up, wanted to be there for my kids, wanted to give my kids hope so they didn't have to walk down the same path that I walked down. And that's the reason why I do this work, man, is try to save some lives.
Hey, how you doing today? My name is Andre Christian, community violence intervention worker. I started doing this work years back, unofficially doing the work because I was tired of seeing people dying, going to the penitentiary and things like that. And I wondered what could I do to change that right there. One of my hardest tests was seeing your own family members murdered, seeing their bodies out there, and what you gonna do about it. I'm a true believer, you reap what you sow. That's what I started putting out there in my conversations, things like that. I know it's accidental deaths and things like that, but when you see so many bodies after so long, you wonder what can you do to change that right there. So to change it, I started being a peacekeeper to save some of these mothers from crying, aunties, fathers. A lot of times they always speak on the mothers, but they don't speak on the fathers and the hurt that goes with that right there. So I'll be doing it till I leave this earth, doing the work. Saving a life or two. That's what we do.
Yeah, man. So what's going on with this LTO stuff, Dre, man? I know it's a whole lot of big discussion about how you get an LTO, how you gang an LTO, man. How could you explain to us that?
And that's what I was telling you, because we put that motto out there, what an LTO and this and that. So I was going through different communities, and it seemed like every community I went in, they had their own definition of what LTO was, and I'm like, how do we bottle that up so everybody get the same meaning, what it mean, how it mean, stuff like that? Because I didn't want to argue, because it was their truth at the end of the day. Because you talk about license to operate.
Right.
I went from certain communities talking about where you get it at, like you going to DMV. Do you get it when you start doing the work? Did you already have it when you was a kid coming up? And so it comes from different ways. And in my community, like something we had that's coming up. And that's why I always try to push it to have people work in their community where you came from, because the people in that community know you and stuff like that, So I feel like you shouldn't come from somewhere else and try to go to another community and say you got an LTO.
Man, that can't work. That for sure can't work. Well, you can have an LTO from another community, but you can't from your community, but you can't go to somebody else's community and gang an LTO. LTO is earned. It's earned to what we did before we was doing this work, this intervention work. I was a gang member, right? Doing bad stuff. People looked up to that in that kind of lifestyle that we live. So that's how I got my LTO. And all through my life, of course, I was the one with a steady head. So when stuff did happen in between the gangs, I was able to get in there and speak and talk about, no, we shouldn't do this, we should do this, or we shouldn't do that, right? So that's how you get your LTO. You just can't grab an LTO. And when I became a peacemaker, that same respect that they gave me when I was a gang member, they give me now as a peacemaker. Now, I can't stop nobody for doing nothing, right? But, man, I can get their ear, and that's all you really want, and that's how I gained my LTO.
A lot of times, them youngsters don't understand. Not saying you have an LTO over there, but if you have somebody in the community, like when I come to your community, I know you operating on the LTO.
Right,
so I'm going to come to somebody that I know have an LTO, and we're going to have a conversation. I'm not just coming in your backyard saying, I got an LTO, I can do the work over here.
Man.
I'm going to find somebody that have an LTO. I'm going to talk to them. So I guess when they overheard that conversation, talking about an LTO to be over there, the youngsters, they took it and ran with it, know. And so I had to break it down to what that really meant. And I think a lot of times we need to have those conversations, because when people hear stuff and say stuff, and then that backyard conversation go on, the rumor get to spread, then it seems like the truth until somebody able to sit down and let you know, no, I'm not saying that I have one in your community. I have one with somebody else in your community that has an LTO. My own community, I got an LTO. So when you're traveling in different communities, you need to have them conversations.
Most definitely. You got to have an LTO in your community first, and then when you go into somebody else's community, they got to have an LTO, right? Then they allow you to come over there to do whatever they want you to do. That's all that is. And you for sure can't, your LTO do not work in another community. You get yourself hurt doing that, right? So that's the way we do. We pick up our telephones, we make calls, we call people from different communities that have them LTO, and if something happened and we want to help out, we ask and they tell us we can come over there. And that's how that is. A LTO is just being very respectful, professional, and also by abiding by the rules to have an LTO.
And that's why I think it should be a deeper conversation, maybe having meetings, trainings on it, so people really understand what this is. Because now I do understand, because one of the young cats I was talking to, he said something like, why is he over here doing the work over here, as if I wasn't in my own community doing work as well. And see, that need to be talked about now. If somebody is over in another community doing work, you can do that. But if you banned out of your own community and I do a license plate check on you, and you can't even do work in your community, but you're over here doing work, that's gonna be a conversation.
Most definitely.
So now, if your LTO been revoked in your own community, and we was dealing with you, I say, yeah, it should be revoked over here too, because it's a reason why it was revoked over there in that community for the LTO go. And like to say, you can't do the work, but when you're dealing with these hardcore gang intervention, they not gonna go for that. That's gonna be the first question. Why you ain't over there doing work? Then you're gonna get the whole rundown. And I think that's a real conversation need to be had, because I just feel like some of the organizations, they throw people in places where they know they shouldn't be. And then, it's a safety situation when it comes to that right there. You shouldn't let nobody just be able to tell you I got an LTO and you just put them somewhere. That could be life or death. That's real safety.
And most definitely, LTOs get taken away as quick as you can get them, right? So making mistakes, talking too much, talk about what you can do when you can't do it, that'll get your LTO taken away from you. So man, LTO is hard to get, right, but easy to get taken away. But you cannot do the work without having an LTO. You got to be able to maneuver around your community, speak to certain people, because we be having them backdoors discussion. And if you can't in that room and you can't speak to them certain people, then your LTO is no good. And it's a lot of different ways. A lot of different people have LTOs. Grandparents and older folks, the church. The preacher that's been there for a long time, he might have an LTO because the community know him, right? And they're just willing to give him their ear and listen to what they got to say, man. And that's what an LTO is, man.
And I think it had to do with trust, too. I think trust play a major part in it, too, because you can have somebody in the community never gangbang anything, but their word is trusted when they say something. So that's an LTO. You have a license to operate, and people gonna come talk to you, the community gonna come talk to you, but you never gangbang, you just came from that community. But the trust, so I think trust play a major part in having an LTO. If somebody gonna come talk to you, because some people feel like, oh, he gangbang, so I can't talk to him, but let me go talk to her.
Right.
Or let me go talk to him, because he just used to play basketball, but he still be with the other cats, so he can operate like that, stuff like that. And yeah, the thing about that right there too, because when so many people know your other lifestyle, where you came from, and as you start changing, it was a while, people didn't even really believe that I had changed. They thought it was something up to it, like being more sneaky or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not with none of that no more, you know what I'm saying? And some of the conversation, it took a while, like, for people to really start seeing, like, he really ain't about that no more, like night and day. And a lot of times people don't believe, because you have to think, we started doing this work when we got older. So you think all them years of being a kid coming up, and that jacket you had on you and how you carried yourself, and now here you get 30, 40 years old, talking something different when people saw you act a certain way for 30, 40 years. And talking about you changing, and a lot of times, people just don't believe stuff like that, But the proof is in the pudding, you keep on going. Then they start seeing. I didn't even have cats coming to me and say stuff like, I know you ain't with it no more, but do you know, whoop, 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 some of that negative stuff and stuff like that. Trying to basically see if my hands are still over there, even though I'm respecting where you at now, but do you still Have some people over here,
Right.
none of that. I'm totally wash my hands, a whole different something coming in this thing.
Right. As a gang member, you're usually on the other side of the law, right? So you usually with doing a lot of bad stuff, right? So when you get in this lane, man, you go against everything that you believe in. Everything, right? Everything that you believe in, man. And you talking about peace, and you talking about not going over there and messing with the ops. You talking about getting the graffiti off the wall, right? You talking about stopping people from gang banging. So, man, it's very dangerous, right? So we had these conversations, and we going into these backyards. So when the police get called to go to a crime scene, right? They got backup, they got everything. Well, when we get called to go there to do our work, man, we there by ourselves, right? So we going in these back streets where it's finna go down now. We having these hardcore conversations about putting the gun down, stop retaliation. Let's just talk for a minute, right? Before we just react. So, man, it's very dangerous, man. And all the stuff that come with intervention then, right? So people quick to say, because we got this professional understanding with the police, they want to always say we snitches. Well, we know snitches get killed in the community. I stay in my community, right? So I got to go home every day. So I got to walk this straight, narrow line, man, and I got to really be about this business and do what I'm supposed to do. But it's very dangerous to do this job because we trying to change, man, the whole culture.
Yeah, and you definitely have to be humble and doing this work, because as I started doing this work, when I first was like transitioning, I still had a lot of that negative up in me. And it was like one of those things, when somebody challenged the work or wanted to come saying something disrespectful, I was kind of like, more or less, I wish you would.
Right,
so I was still on that time, and then it was like a contradiction to the work, because how can I be a peacekeeper? And then I'm not talking about peace when you come with the disrespectful things and stuff like that. So I really had to get that out of my head. Certain people would talk to me, and I'll say, well, let me sit back for a minute, because I'm not all the way ready yet.
Right.
Just say something, but it's like you got to put your own feelings in your back pocket. And I never will forget Connie, and it stuck with me for a while when she said it. It made a difference. It's not about you, it's about the work.
Right.
And when you look at stuff like that, it's not about you, it's about the work. You look at it different. So now if you say something disrespectful that I usually wouldn't go for, but the work is bigger than that. So I got to be humble and just let you have that. Okay, it is what it is, because me responding to that is gonna mess the work up. And so I'm more concerned about the work than I am about myself. And then what I do to help me push it, because when I was on the negative stuff, I wasn't worried about dying. So now that I'm on the positive stuff, I'm not worried about dying either. I just make sure I do the right things. And you just feel like, that shield of protection, though, as long as you're doing the right moves, making the right moves, you're not worried about what somebody gonna do, because I'm one of them true believers, it's your time. But I'm not gonna do nothing to try to hurry up that time, and doing the work. And I just be honest with it. If I don't feel something, I'm gonna be honest with you. If we need to talk about it, because some stuff when you have a conversation, it's like, just because I don't get it, I'm not gonna argue with you about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's your opinion, you know what I'm saying? That's the way you feel, that's your truth. And you can never argue with nobody's truth. So it's certain stuff I had to do to protect myself at the same time. I'm not in my feelings. We still had that conversation, we still okay. Because, a lot of times you come out being negative, trying to prove a point, get the last word, that's like a cancer. And then when you're not really dealing with that person from a certain community, they grow, and that cancer can consume the whole body. So just being humble.
So you got to be very respectful of what you talk about. And a lot of people got them sly tongues and they say anything, but you got to be able to take that to be an intervention worker.
Yeah.
You can't react the way they react. Now you're not an intervention worker. You're just somebody out there arguing, looking funny, and fighting.
Exactly.
So we got to be able to take a whole lot of stuff that they give us, man. And that's just the sign of a great intervention work, to be able to take that, internalize that, turn that they negative to positive, man, and make them at least be able to understand what you're going through. Certain way you got to react, man. You can't got to have tough skin in this.
And as soon as you jump out the box, I done did it before when something happened, like, oh, that's the one I know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel bad about me jumping out the box, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't no high moment. It's like, dang, okay, I still got some work to do. I let him pull me out of character. Here I'm thinking I done changed, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and now he done pulled me out of character, so I had to go back, boom, again, you know what I'm saying?
By pulling you out of character, now they able to go back and talk about what you not. Oh, he talking about he's a fake intervention, man. I said this, and he turned right back into lowdown, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
they quick to do that on you, right? So you gotta always be in character. You're really not in character. You just gotta be about this business, really about this business. And the the majority of us that do this work is, right? So we don't get
Exactly.
drawn out of our character.
If I'm trying to do something negative, I'm gonna talk to a negative person. But if I'm trying to stay positive, I know you're usually a voice of reason.
Right.
This is who I want to talk to, you, to help make me look at it in a different perspective versus the way I'm looking at it now. Because at the end of the day, we still human.
Most
It
definitely.
helps.
Do this work, man, to save lives. Right, that's why I got into this, to save lives, man. And when I got to having kids and everything and going back and forth to the penitentiary, man, I wanted to change.
Yeah.
I wanted to change, and now my kids is going to school, right? And I know what goes on from that walk from the house to the school, right? Because I was there, right? So, man, we do this work, man, to change lives, man, to save lives, man, and to really redevelop the mindset of our community members, right? Because we taught a whole lot of negative coming up, right? And it's easy to do negative, man. It's hard to do positive, right?
Yeah.
When everybody is against you doing positive. So, man, this is not just something we do for the money. This ain't something we do to get on camera, to people to be pointing at you and saying you do the work, man. We put your life on the line to do this work, right? Because you're going against everything you once was taught. And a lot of people in the community don't like the work that we're doing. Simple as that. The best compliment you can give me, because back in the days, man, I was everything but a peacemaker or being peaceful. So to be a peacemaker, man, and know that we out there saving lives and people, changing people's direction, man, changing people mental thoughts, man, this is great.
Saving lives, period. There's no other way to say it. Saving lives. Sometimes it can be domestic disputes, gangs, because it's not always gangs you're dealing with being a peacemaker. Sometimes it has to do with family, relationships, and things like that. But at the end of the day, you want peace.